Good afternoon, everyone. We are Devereux Footwear, and this is our summary of how our company performed in the business strategy game from the years 11 and ending with year 18. I'm Alex Antonacci, and later in the presentation, you'll meet Camden Hurd and Luke Rogenberg. So, to start off, we're going to talk about our mission and vision. So, our mission was to deliver comfortable, stylish, good value shoes globally through efficient operations and disciplined finances. Our vision emphasized global low cost leadership, strengthening the balance sheet, and improving our credit rating. By year 18, we hit most of these goals. We were the clear low cost producer, we had high market shares worldwide, and we improved our credit back up to an A plus rating. The area where we were less aligned with our mission was the people side. We kept a good image rating, but we weren't especially generous on the CSR or wage growth once our performance took off. Next, we have our year 18 scoreboard. And performance wise, our story is a comeback. In year 16, we were dead last on the game to date scoreboard. Over the next 2 years, we executed a very aggressive, low cost, high volume strategy. We cleaned up our balance sheet, and by the end of year 18, we ended first overall with the highest investor expectation score. Also, we saw that EPS, stock price, and our return on equity all more than doubled from the early years, and we finished with an A plus credit rating. And then next we have our business level strategy overview. So overall, our business level strategy evolved into a classic low cost leadership play. Early on, we competed on value, slightly lower prices with higher quality, and as we added capacity, we layered on heavier marketing. In the final 3 years, we leaned fully into low cost leadership, meaning systematically lower prices globally, lots of models, aggressive online marketing, and enough capacity to avoid stockouts. We financed that with the leverage early on and then paid down our debt once growth took hold.
Hi, my name's Luke, and I'm going to be getting into some of the internet strategies, wholesale strategies, and our private label strategies. In internet retail, we consciously accepted being half a step below the highest quality players as long as we could be cheaper and more visible. Our prices were 10 to 20% below industry norms, we carried more models than average, and we spent heavily on search advertising and free shipping. That combination made us the high share online discounter in every region and let us pick up extra pairs whenever rivals stocked out. For the wholesale channel, our position was best value for retailers. We underpriced the industry but kept SQ equal or better, and we offered lots of models with reliable delivery times. Because our capacity kept up, we almost never stocked out. Instead, we often gained demand when other suppliers ran short. That made wholesale a stable, high volume contributor across regions. With private label, we used it as a capacity filler early on. From years 11 to 15, we often sat right at the 1/3 market share cap, which helped us keep factories full and generate cash while we were scaling. As our branded internet and wholesale business became strong enough, we deliberately pulled back from private label in years 16 to 18 and shifted capacity toward higher margin branded output to support EPS and stock price.
Rivalry and the use of industry reports. The industry reports made it obvious that the rivalry was intense. Most companies sat in a tight band on price, SQ, and advertising, so any small moves had a big effect. And also, the competition was very good at forecasting revenue and EPS. We relied heavily on the competitive efforts reports. First, when our wholesale market share fell below industry averages around year 13, the reports showed that competitors were just a bit cheaper and offering more models. We answered by cutting wholesale prices, boosting brand ads, and expanding our model line, which brought our wholesale share back above the industry average by year 15 and 16. Second, in Latin America and Asia Pacific, the reports flagged fast growth in online demand and higher search spending by our rivals. We leaned into that by ramping our own search budget and deepening internet discounts, which pushed our online market shares to the mid 20s and 30% range. Finally, before we wrote our 3-year plan, the report showed nearly everyone chasing the same high SQ, higher price position with lots of models. Rather than join the quality arms race, we used our operational strengths to do the opposite. Hold SQ at solid but not premium levels and keep our product breadth and move prices to 10 to 20% below the industry average in every region. That conscious shift to a global low cost strategy is what drove our late game jump in market share and overall performance. CSR and ethics. On corporate social responsibility, we did just enough to keep a strong image rating, around 90 or higher for most of the game, but we weren't the CSR leader by far. Our spending stayed near the industry average, and we never won the Corporate Citizen Award, so we cut all CSR spending by year 18. Late in the simulation, we consciously prioritized margin and credit repair over additional wage increasing or staffing, even as our stock price doubled. That choice might look efficient to shareholders, but more questionable to employees or external stakeholders. Lessons learned. The main lessons we took away from the BSG are first, strategy is worthless if operations and finance can't back it up. Our low cost plan only worked once our factories, credit rating, and cash flow were aligned. Second, the game rewards constant data driven adjustment. We had to keep revisiting pricing, quality, and advertising based on the comparative reports. And third and finally, you can make reasonable decisions and do your best, but still end up in last, like we did in year 16. The most important part is to not quit, never give up, but to reassess and pivot to a better strategy. So, thoughts on the simulation. Personally, we like the simulation a lot. Even though we were successful, it still ended up being way harder than expected. A lot of the times, our expectations and our forecasting did not turn into reality. But you have to think like a real company, balancing production, marketing, finance, and HR, and things can still go wrong even with thoughtful and planned out decisions. That experience gave us a new respect for how much judgment and iteration really managers use. Overall, we definitely recommend BSG for the future MBA 6-4 students because it ties the whole strategy course together in a way that's very practical.